Party people, today I'm going to talk to you about structure and how you can be really intentional about actually creating a structure within your poem that serves a purpose. So, telling your purpose or your theme. And so, when I say structure, Dante, I don't mean Pharrell's beautiful jaw structure. Though that is important too. But today we're going to talk about poetry structure. When I think about poetry structure, I not only think about my husband, but I also think about the way that we order things makes a huge difference. And so one thing comes to mind is actually if thinking about how I would tell the story about me not getting over my fear of public speaking, because some of you guys know that public speaking makes me really nervous, but maybe about a time that I kind of overcame it. And so if I were to tell you the story, there are many different ways that I can tell you and structure the story. So one way that I might tell you the story is I might actually start with the beginning about when I realized or when I came to terms that I was going to be in my third year as a leadership camp counselor. And in my third year, I had to make my third year speech. I had to make a speech in front of 500 campers. Or if I was telling the story, I might want to actually start it talking about the end, the actual end of the story when despite everything and all my nervousness, I finally did it. And I finally stood up in front of 500 campers, and I gave a speech. Or maybe if I was telling the story, I might structure it in the way to where I actually start in the moment 10 minutes before I tell my speech, and I'm a crying mess. Like, I'm like ugly crying. And my favorite high school teacher, his name's Mr. Angeles. He's right here. And one of my mentors, James, he's right here. They're like calming me down and literally helping me wipe my tears as I'm about to go on stage. So when I think about structure, I think about the different effect that structure can have, because we know that the way that we order things makes a really big difference in how the reader experiences our work, and also how we want to portray our work. And so today we're going to talk about how writers use strategic structures to impact the reader's experience, okay? And so writers might think to themselves, how can I switch the order of my poem or move parts of my poem around to create a different effect for the reader? You may do this many different ways. Today I'm going to talk about a few of them. So you might do this by moving around your poem, so actually shifting stanzas in your poem. You might do this by including different elements, like maybe you break it up and you add inner thoughts. Or you may do this by starting with the ending. So thinking about me and my public speaking story, I might think about how I might want to actually start with me actually going up there and doing it. Or maybe creating a roller coaster effect. Maybe that might look like starting in the middle of the action, or maybe that might look like I want my reader to feel one way and then making them feel a complete different way, kind of like I Am Joaquin. Or maybe you might want to separate stanzas to create a cliffhanger feeling. These are all many different ways that you can add specific structure for your poem. So I want you to actually watch me as I consider how I might want to actually revise my poem, thinking about the structure. So, come on. All right, here we are. All right, so I wrote, this is like my ode to, or one of my response to poems to coconut ice cream. Y'all, I love me some coconut ice cream, specifically the one at Mitchell's. And so I'm actually writing this poem about how much I love coconut ice cream. And when I think about my theme for this, I think about a larger theme as possibly just like giving things a shot and trying things out, even when you don't know how they're going to work out. And so I'm going to actually think about how I can move around my poem to bring this theme to life. So I'm going to read you what I have so far. The South bell rang with the acknowledgement of my arrival. I searched the board. Should I choose Mexican hot cocoa? Or maybe I have a taste for grasshopper pie. Or maybe on this faithful Tuesday, I should finally give macapuno a shot. Without trying a sample, I decided my fate. Taking my first lick of its pearly excellence, I knew in that moment that you, coconut ice cream, and I are truly a match made in heaven. All right, so I'm thinking about my poem, and I'm thinking about all of the different ways that I might want to revise this and make this different. So moving around my poem, including inner thoughts or different elements, starting with the ending, creating a roller coaster effect, separating stanzas for a cliffhanger feeling. Thinking one that comes to mind, I kind of actually want to start with the ending. Like how I felt at the end of like having Makapuno ice cream. And you know, I felt like in this moment, this was like a real risk because if you go to the ice cream store without trying something, like, and you buy the whole thing, like, you're in it. Like, I didn't sample it. I was like committed to the coconut ice cream. And so I'm actually going to kind of like reflect on that moment and actually add in a little bit at the ending, at the beginning of my poem. So I'm going to write something like, when I walked into Mitchell's on that, think about it, was like a dreary Tuesday afternoon after work. I had no clue that telling how much I love your creaminess would change the course of my life. All right, so I'm kind of adding in the end here. Another strategy I might want to use is actually maybe like a roller coaster effect. So another way I could have done this is maybe starting with maybe like what brought me into Mitchell's ice cream. I was kind of having a really tough day. Mitchell's is not on my way home, but I was like, you know how ice cream makes everything better? I was like, I'm going to go get ice cream because I want to feel a lot better. So I might actually want to start and think about how I can maybe instead write about how I like showed up and I was like miserable. I was like having a hard day. And then at the end, being really intentional about how much I love and how much I love coconut ice cream and ending on a positive note and really making sure that my tone is like inspired and that the mood is like joyful and going from there. So there are many different ways that you can do this. You might want to think about how you can do this yourself. So today what you're going to do, you're going to spend some time revising for structure. You're going to go back in your poems and you're going to choose at least 2 poems where you are going to make revisions to the structure. Maybe that means you take away parts. Maybe that means that you move around some things. Maybe that means that you're adding in some things, okay? Again, remember you have a few different strategies. You can move around the poem. You can include different elements like inner thoughts. Maybe I might have wanted to interject every now and then what I was thinking in that moment, like how my mind was racing when I committed to it without trying the sample. Or maybe you might want to start with the ending. You might want to create a roller coaster effect, or maybe even separating stanzas for a cliffhanger feeling if you have like a really like bum 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 poem. That's that for now. Give it a shot. Spend some time figuring it out, and yeah, good luck.